So the Minish Cap PC Port, one that a lot of people are very excited about. Maybe not as hype as the Twilight Princess PC ports that are coming out later, though Dusk might be out at any second now, geez. But it's still a really cool project, and the progress it's been making is fantastic. This was announced randomly in the general chat of the Discord server linked below, but yes, you can playtest the Minish Cap PC Port right now, and it's shockingly easy. The first build we got was very difficult to set up. I didn't even try because I was a little busy, but it was very hard to set up. They had instructions on the GitHub page, but if you weren't a developer, you probably had no idea what they were saying. However, within about 10 minutes, they'd already released a much easier way to do it. This comes courtesy of Sion, or Sion, I don't know, on the server. They are incredible. They've been working so hard on this PC port and they've done so much. They're answering questions constantly. Huge shout out to them. They're awesome. In fact, it's pretty hard to make this video because as I speak, more and more updates are coming out. So I'm going to just be talking about the second build they released. If you want to see the builds after that, you're going to have to play it yourself. Of course, I'll talk about the setup process. It's very easy. You can find the Discord server down below, which has all the GitHub links you need. However, I also have a Twitter where I'll be sending the newest GitHub links there as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. The setup process is extremely easy. First, you just download the file that is on the GitHub page, then you extract it using something like WinRAR. Once it's extracted, you drop your Minish Cap ROM in there. Make sure to rename it to baserom.gva. Hopefully they take out this restriction in the future, but currently that's what you gotta do. Then you open the extract file and you wait quite a long time. What you see in front of you right now is the extraction in process. What it's doing basically is taking all of the assets that are in the ROM and turning it into a runnable exe. That way we can share this program that'll turn your ROM into an exe because sharing ROMs is illegal. This project did not contain any of the original assets. Now, from what I heard, the Linux version of this process is very quick. Yes, there is a Linux and a Windows build. I'll get to that later. The Linux version of the extraction is apparently very quick, but the Windows 10 version, well, let me speed it up so you can experience it in all of its glory. Are you ready? By the time it's finished, you're dead. Anyway, once all that's done, it boots up super easily. Hopefully this can be sped up in the future because this was a little bit ridiculous, but again, it's still a beta build, so stuff like this is not a big deal. Once you're actually playing the game, it's really good. One of the big selling points is the audio. Now, if you didn't know, in a previous build, the audio just straight didn't work. It was just completely silent. Now it works. It still sounds very blown out and harsh, but that's just what the Game Boy Advance sounds like. If you want it fixed, put it in a suggestion in the Discord server, link below. Anyway, take a listen to the audio. It's so beautiful. I've never played this game before, so I didn't realize the music was this good. Anyway, yes, audio works. There's still visual glitches. However, most things are getting fixed incredibly fast. And speaking of quickly, one of the users on the Discord, simply named Red, has sent an image of what looks to be a launcher for the Minish Cap PC Port, which should make this entire process obsolete, and it should just be a few clicks. This is amazing. The fact that this person who nobody knew anything about just pulled up and started doing all this is great. great. In fact, he even teased Switch support, which would be awesome to see. I know homebrew stuff like this is one of the most requested things for these PC ports, and I get it, it's cool to play it on the Switch, but obviously it's not too far in. I couldn't test the launcher or see any footage of the Switch port in action because I think I was annoying him with all my heckling. My bad. I just try to get as much information as I can to get videos out as quickly as possible, so I ask a lot of questions. I understand why he'd get annoyed. But on a different note, let's see just how far I can get into this PC port. Not far. This was an issue with the last build I got. You see, for whatever reason, these lily pads don't actually rotate around this little puddle here, which makes this part impossible. Now, the developers know of this glitch and apparently had fixed it, but it was broken on my end. It wasn't broken on their end, which is very confusing, even though we had the exact same build. I have no idea what could be causing this, but it's a pretty big issue. Now, there was another glitch that was broken on my end and another tester's end that wasn't broken on their ports. That being this glitch where it automatically skips fighting these two enemies that are attacking Eslo. Normally you have to kill them, but in this build it just literally automatically skips and you go right on ahead to the dialogue. This is very, very strange. It definitely feels like every single copy of the Minish Cap PC port is personalized. However, they know of these glitches and are working on them. Now, on the topic of testing, one of the testers, whose name is Jester, has been helping out quite a bit and sending a ton of hilarious glitches. Among these are Link actually growing instead of shrinking like he's supposed to when he goes into the magical log. This is absolute peak, and I absolutely love to see this. I will note this is purely a visual glitch, however, as I also got this glitch and it was fine once I actually started to walk around. This is a very funny glitch, and I hope this is an option to enable in the final product. On top of that, some testers have gotten some absolutely fried versions of this game. This is horrifying. All this to say, the Minish Cap PC port is great and everything's moving too fast to cover it all in one video. If you want the most up-to-date information, I'm constantly releasing stuff on my Twitter, and that's going to be the end of this video. Links to everything you need in the description. I'll see you later.